Hi students, we will be looking at nutrition in humans. Now before you look at this page itself, what I would like you to do is move down to the next page and you'll be able to see the types of digestion. Okay, now this is very important to take note in terms of the words that you use for the answering. We have got two types of digestion. One is physical digestion and the other one is a chemical digestion. So physical digestion is the breaking up of large substances into smaller substances. So take note at this point in time of physical digestion, there is absolutely no change to the structure of the substance, which means to say that your piece of chicken is going to remain as chicken, just that it is in much smaller pieces. However, for chemical digestion, what you are doing is you are breaking down the components itself. So which means to say that, for example, the chicken that is made out of proteins, they are going to be digested down into polypeptides and eventually amino acids themselves. Okay, so now the types of physical digestion, you will have three components. The first one at the mouth, followed by the stomach and the bowel itself, which occurs at the small intestines. So since this topic is a relatively large component, what we will be doing is we'll be looking at digestion itself right up to the stomach only, and then we will looking at digestion in the small intestines, and then we'll be looking at the functions of the small intestines and following off with the other components of nutrition topic itself. Alright, now let's get started. So let's look at this page itself here. So what you will see here is the general overview, and you will have chemical digestion that is in purple itself, physical digestion that is in blue, and some terminologies that you will have to use that is in green. Okay, so all of digestion will all begin at the mouth itself and will end off for this video at the stomach. Okay, now in the mouth itself, we actually eat the substances or the food itself. So for eating in biology, we call it ingestion. Okay, so if you compare it in removal of waste products, that is egestion. So take note of the terminologies here. So humans or animals themselves, they ingest the food. So in humans, once it is ingested, you will have both physical and chemical digestion. Okay, physical digestion, first thing, you chew the food. So chewing, the biological term is mastication. Okay, so the food is masticated or chewed up because it is physical into smaller pieces. So the smaller pieces will increase the surface area to volume ratio. And why is that important is because now my salivary amylase, which is the enzyme involved in chemical digestion, is able to break down these carbohydrates into maltose. Alright, so take note, in the mouth itself, only carbohydrates go through some chemical digestion. Not all the chemical digestion, but only some. Your proteins and your fats only undergo physical digestion. There is no chemical digestion for proteins and fats. Okay, now the second physical digestion is whereby you have the production of saliva and mucus. So the purpose of this is to soften food. You will see the importance of this in older people who are unable to produce saliva sufficiently in the morning, and therefore they find that when they eat dry biscuits, it is incredibly hard to swallow, which is why more often than not they dip these biscuits into hot Milo or coffee or their choice of drink. Okay, the third one is the purpose of the tongue is to roll the food into a bolus. So bolus just means a ball, it's the biological term for ball, in which it is easier to swallow down rather than swallowing the entire string of your noodle, for example. Okay, so from the mouth itself, the bolus of food will now enter into the esophagus. Okay, now in the esophagus, there is no secretion of any type of enzymes, okay, but there is some chemical digestion simply due to the salivary amylase from your mouth, which is still coating the food. Okay, so in the esophagus itself, how food travels down is through the muscle action, which is called peristalsis. Okay, so it is due to peristalsis that people are able to still consume food and swallow it down, even in space or when they are standing upside down. Okay, because it does not depend on gravity, instead it depends on the muscles itself. Now there are two types of muscles. There are circular and longitudinal muscles. So circular and longitudinal muscles, they work in opposite direction. So one will contract, the other one will relax. Okay, so we call that an antagonistic motion because they are working in opposite direction. Okay, so in order to move my foot forward, that means to move it downwards, just remember C and C. Okay, credit card for example. So the circular muscles will contract, and in opposite fashion the longitudinal will relax. Okay, so once you move the foot forward, okay, so what you do is when the foot is in a fixed position now, you want to move the foot into a new position. So what happens? The opposite will happen, in which the circular relax and the longitudinal contract. So you can see from here, even though it is in 4 different sets, okay, just by memorizing one, CC, credit card or circular contract, you will be able to understand and fill in the blanks for the other 2. Okay, so once food has moved down the esophagus, it will then enter the stomach via the cardiac sphincter. Cardiac because it is located closer to the heart. Okay, proximity wise, not say it is right at the heart, just in terms of proximity. Sphincter is the muscle itself, the ring of muscle. Okay, so once the food or the bolus of food starts entering into the stomach, what happens is that the stomach will start to produce things like water, hydrochloric acid, etc. Okay, now we look at the stomach first. Now the stomach is incredibly acidic. Okay, so which is why in order to protect itself, the stomach secretes mucus. Okay, so normally when a human, we near meal times, the stomach will receive signals from the brain, and the brain will then tell the stomach to start secreting things like water in order for my hydrochloric acid to dissolve in, and in turn that will also help to activate the enzyme, which is in the inactive form pepsinogen, and in the inactive form prorenin. Okay, the enzymes are not activated at all times because the stomach themselves, they are made up of proteins. We don't want the enzymes to start digesting the protein of the stomach walls themselves. Okay, so which is why individuals who have high chances of gastric problems, over time it corrodes the stomach lining, resulting in pathogens being able to target these holes in the stomach, or you have got stomach ulcers. Okay, now another reason for HCl, hydrochloric acid, is that it will kill pathogens, which means the bacteria that is found in food, which is also why you are able to eat your sashimi that is raw. Okay, at the same time it will inactivate the salivary amylase from the mouth. Okay, so recall that enzymes, they need an ideal or optimum pH for survival. So in the mouth, which is slightly neutral, okay, but when it reaches the stomach, the salivary amylase from the mouth is no longer able to survive in the stomach pH of 1.5 to 2. So therefore, the enzyme will be inactivated because they are denatured. Okay. Now in the stomach itself, we have got both physical and chemical digestion. So physical digestion is whereby the stomach walls, they are able to move, which means to say that they are able to contract left and right in a gentle motion, which is churning. Okay, so during the period of churning itself, digestion is taking place, both physical and chemical digestion. Okay, so chemical digestion taking place will be the digestion of only proteins component. Okay, so by churning itself, the stomach produces this thing that is called a chyme. Okay, acidic because the stomach itself is acidic. Okay, so acidic chyme has this porridge-like consistency, which you will see when individuals vomit. Okay, the components that they actually puke up is very small little gritty pieces that is almost like a porridge. Okay, so for chemical digestion, remember that your inactive pepsinogen is activated to pepsin. So the purpose of pepsin is to digest the proteins into polypeptides. Okay, they are not the smallest form yet, but it is getting there. Okay. Prorenin here is also activated to renin. So the purpose of renin is to curdle milk. Okay, so they are converting these soluble milk proteins to insoluble milk curdles. So individuals who lack these components, they are unable to convert to insoluble milk curdles, often resulting in diarrhea itself. Okay, so this is done in the presence of calcium Ca2+, which is a micronutrient. Okay. Now, once you have got acidic chyme, this acidic chyme is going to enter into the duodenum, which is the small intestines. Okay. So for the purpose of this video, we are only going to look up to the stomach, but I will touch on what is called the alimentary canal versus the accessory organs. Okay. So when we look at here, the mouth all the way down to the stomach, to the small intestines, okay, large intestines, rectum and anus, you can see that it is one entire long canal. Okay, so this is the alimentary canal by themselves that is all connected. Okay, so organs like the liver, the gallbladder, bile duct and pancreas, these are the accessory organs. Okay, accessory organs means to say that they help in digestion itself, but they are not part of the alimentary canal. Okay, so next we will look at the accessory organs, the liver, gallbladder, bile duct, pancreas, along with the digestion that is taking place in the small intestines. Thank you for watching this